Appeasing and people pleasing helps you to have control of the way that the person views you. There's no risk anymore. I'm going to be everything that they need me to be so that they will love me. I've worked out what they need me to be, and I will be that. I am likable. I am lovable. I am appeasing. Take that away and communicate your true needs and what you truly want and desire in that situation. You risk them not liking that. What you are doing is relinquishing control of the situation, because people pleasing and appeasing is an attempt at controlling the way that people see you, the narrative around you. So of course you're terrified of confrontation. And what you will find in these instances often is that you shut down. Emotionally, you completely shut down. You find it very difficult to check back into your needs. And if you do convey your needs in these relationships, they'll come out, they'll spill out in a moment of overwhelm, and you'll say something that you truly feel, but then quickly realize that that upsets the other person or has created some kind of conflict, and then you panic and you either shut down and completely withdraw, or you quickly go back to appeasing. I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry. I was just angry. All of that kind of stuff. So you can see how appeasing in this way, people pleasing in this way, creates a terror of conflict, but actually in the long run creates more conflict within your life. And so I guess the fundamental question that we have out of this is how do we change this? And that's not easy, right? The idea of how do you change something like that that's an imprint in your brain, it's not easy. But I do think that something that you can do is get clear on your rights. And I write about this in my book, actually, when we're talking about boundaries and stuff. You get clear on your rights and what's okay in your life, so that in those moments of disarray, in those moments when you feel like you're emotionally shutting down, you can lean back on your rights. What is okay for me? What values do I have, and why are they important here? And how do I come back to them? And all that, that kind of sense of self, right? You're helping to reestablish what that sense of self is, so that you can lean on it in those situations. And you have to do it like over time, gently, with yourself and with the people that you care about. But you can see how influenced we are by the things that happen in our childhood. And listen, to kind of go with a bit of a gear change here, I don't think that that's talked about, and I say this a lot, but I'm going to say it again. I don't think that's talked about at a policy level. We don't talk about things like, people pleasing and stuff like that. When you think about like the mental health conversation and the ways in which people struggle, we don't talk about this. The mental health conversation is always built around what's wrong in your brain, right? Why, what kind of malfunction is there? What kind of diagnosis means that you're like this? And we never zoom out and go, well, hang on a minute. The brain develops at its fastest rate in those initial years, in the initial 9 years, but particularly 4 years. I'm not a doctor or a fucking scientist, but that's not controversial stuff. But as I always say, it's not talked about at a policy level, because if it was, then the solution is to fucking fund and support kids adequately, right? To fund and support schooling systems, to like invest everything into our children, to invest everything into our families. But hypercapitalism, by the way, is taking that away, isn't it? People cite me talking about abusive, toxic parents, right, as being the reason that like families break down in more modern times. I would say that our sheer obsession with hypercapitalism, and as I always say, I'm not against capitalism, it's hypercapitalism, which is a form of capitalism which says profit over everything always. That's problematic. And we want to get both parents back to work as quickly as possible, and then the children are just sort of left in either the schooling system or nursery systems. And look, I'm not, to be clear here, and let me make sure I don't just go off on a rant here, because I want to make sure that I'm being clear what I'm saying. It's not the fault of the family that both people go back to work, right? That's a failing of the system. right? Most families now have no choice but for both parents to go back.